Welcome to the lands of science fiction stories. I wish you a pleasant listening experience. Commander Thrask Orion stood at the helm of the Fire Shadow, a sleek, state-of-the-art starship equipped with the most advanced Terran technology. His cold blue eyes scanned the star-filled void beyond the viewports, and the subtle hum of the ship's engine resonated through his body. The mission had been simple: travel to the uncharted sector known as Ether Rift, and establish a forward base for exploration. Yet nothing was ever simple in this galaxy. The crew, an eclectic mix of species from across the Galactic Union, manned their stations. Each of them had been hand-picked for their expertise, yet it was clear that the humans had earned a reputation, one that both fascinated and unsettled the galaxy's other inhabitants. Beside Thrask stood his first officer, Lerna, a member of the reptilian race known as the Valgar. Her scales shimmered a deep emerald under the ship's artificial light. "Commander," she began, her voice a low hiss, "we are approaching the coordinates. Scans indicate unusual gravitational anomalies. It's unlike anything we've encountered before." Thrask nodded. "Prepare the crew. This mission isn't going to be straightforward." As they approached the Ether Rift, the strange phenomenon outside became more pronounced. Massive arcs of energy crackled through the blackness, illuminating the sector like some cosmic storm. Space itself seemed to ripple and fold, challenging their very perception of reality. "Commander," came a voice from the tactical station, a young human by the name of Lieutenant Remus. His face was pale, and his hands hovered nervously over the controls. "Sensors are picking up something. Large." Thrask's gaze sharpened. "Define large." Before Remus could answer, the view ahead shifted, and something emerged from the rift. A vast alien structure, ancient, silent, and covered in enigmatic symbols, floated ominously in the void. It was easily the size of a moon, its surface pockmarked with the scars of eons. "By the stars," whispered Lerna. "What is that?" Thrask didn't hesitate. "Tactical! Prepare the ship for full battle readiness. Science team, start scanning. I want every bit of information we can gather on that thing." The ship buzzed with activity as the crew worked, their collective unease palpable. For decades the galaxy had been explored and mapped, yet this structure, this unknown, was beyond anything in recorded history. "Commander," Lerna began again, her tone more grave now, "I have a bad feeling about this." Thrask smirked slightly. "If we didn't face the unknown, we wouldn't be human." Hours passed, and the Fire Shadow maintained a careful distance from the mysterious object. The science team pored over the data, but every scan came back inconclusive, the structure's material defying all known classifications. As the hours dragged on, tension filled the air. Suddenly, without warning, the ship shuddered violently. "What the hell?" Thrask snapped, gripping the edge of his console. "Report!" "Commander, the structure. It's emitting a massive gravitational pull. We're being drawn in," Remus shouted over the alarms blaring throughout the ship. "Engage reverse thrusters," Thrask commanded. The engines roared, but it was no use. The ship inched closer to the structure, as if the very fabric of space itself was pulling them into an inescapable maw. "This isn't a natural gravitational force," yelled Dr. Valen, the ship's lead scientist, his hands flying across the console. "It's like the laws of physics are being rewritten around us." The ship trembled again, and then silence. "We're stabilizing," Lerna reported, confused. "But the structure, it's changing." Before their eyes, the alien structure began to shift. Its surface rippled and moved, as though it was alive. And then, from its core, an enormous beam of light shot out, enveloping the Fire Shadow asterisk. Every screen on the bridge went dark. "Commander!" Lerna's voice was uncharacteristically soft. "We're being hailed." Thrask glanced at her, his mind racing. "Put it through!" A deep, resonating voice filled the ship, speaking in a language that sent a shiver down every spine. Thrask's translator chirped, struggling to decipher the complex tones, and finally, it spoke. "Welcome, children of the stars. You stand before the gate of dominion. Prepare for the awakening protocol." The crew exchanged uneasy glances. No one knew what the awakening protocol was, but the ominous tone left no doubt. Whatever it was, they were now part of it. The moment the transmission ended, The ship's systems blinked back to life, and the bridge filled with frantic chatter as every station lit up with warnings. Thrask's pulse quickened, though his expression remained calm. "Lerna, analyze the data from that transmission. I need to know what we're dealing with." "Aye, Commander," she replied, her clawed hands moving swiftly over the console. "It's like nothing I've seen before. It wasn't just a message, it was a command. It's rewritten parts of our ship's systems." Thrask's brow furrowed. "What do you mean?" Before Lerna could respond, Remus interrupted. "Sir, we've got movement. Something's emerging from the structure." The view on the main screen shifted, revealing a small fleet of sleek metallic vessels, their designs unlike anything recorded in the Galactic Union's archives. They moved with eerie precision, their trajectories perfectly aligned. "They're scanning us," Lerna reported. "Energy signatures are off the charts." Thrask's fists clenched. "Open a channel to those ships. Let's see if they're willing to talk." Lerna complied, but no response came from the alien vessels. Instead, one of the ships began to pulse with a strange blue energy. The pulse echoed through space, sending a shockwave that rattled the fire shadow. "Shields at maximum," Thrask barked, but the wave passed harmlessly over them. "What the hell was that?" Remus muttered. Dr. Valen looked up from his console, his face pale. "Commander, I think that was a test. They're probing us, analyzing our biology." Thrask's expression darkened. "And what are they looking for?" Valen hesitated. "It's hard to say, but if I'm reading this right, they're looking for something specific, a match." Lerna hissed, her scales darkening. "A match for what?" Valen swallowed hard. "For the awakening protocol." Before anyone could respond, a sudden flash of light filled the bridge, and standing before them was an alien figure, humanoid in shape, with gleaming silver skin and glowing crystalline eyes. Its presence was overwhelming, as if it radiated power beyond comprehension. The alien spoke, its voice cold and metallic. "You are the chosen. Prepare for ascension." Commander Thrask instinctively reached for his sidearm, though he knew it would be useless. The alien figure that had materialized on the bridge was unlike anything he had ever encountered. Its silver skin shimmered as if it were made of liquid metal, constantly shifting in subtle ripples, while its crystalline eyes glowed with an eerie light. The tension on the bridge was palpable as the crew stared at the intruder in shock and disbelief. "State your purpose," Thrask said firmly, his voice steady despite the uncertainty coursing through him. The alien tilted its head slightly as if contemplating the question. Its voice, cold and detached, echoed throughout the ship. "I am the Harbinger, an envoy of the Ascended. Your presence here has triggered the awakening protocol. You and your crew have been chosen to become more than what you are, to transcend your limitations." Thrask's eyes narrowed. "We didn't ask for this. We were on a mission of exploration, not whatever this is." The Harbinger's glowing eyes flickered momentarily. "Choice is an illusion. The awakening protocol was established eons ago, long before your kind set foot in the stars. Your arrival here was foretold. You are the culmination of the ascension. Your species is uniquely suited for this." Lerna, standing beside Thrask, hissed quietly, "Commander, I don't like this. Something about this feels wrong." Thrask glanced at her, then back to the Harbinger. "What does this ascension entail?" The Harbinger's metallic form shifted slightly, the surface of its body shimmering like quicksilver. "To ascend is to transcend your mortal form. Your bodies will be reshaped, your minds enhanced, and your potential fully realized. You will no longer be bound by the frailties of flesh and bone. You will become one with the Ascended, a perfect fusion of biological and synthetic life." The crew exchanged uneasy glances. Thrask could feel the unease growing among them, but he remained composed. "And what happens if we refuse?" With the Harbinger temporarily neutralized, the crew turned their attention back to the alien structure looming before them. Whatever had drawn them here was still active, and the awakening protocol hadn't been fully stopped. "We need to find the core of that structure," Thrask said, his voice firm. "If we don't shut it down completely, it's only a matter of time before they come for us again." The fire shadow moved cautiously toward the structure, its scanners probing for any sign of a weakness. Deep within the ancient alien superstructure, something stirred. Something far older and far more powerful than the Harbinger. And it was waiting for them. The fire shadow drifted closer to the massive structure, its shadow swallowing the ship whole. Inside the core of the ancient relic lay the answer, the true source of the awakening protocol. Commander Thrask stood on the bridge, his eyes locked on the hollow display as the scanners mapped the interior of the alien monolith. "We're approaching the core!" Lerna hissed from her station, her claws tapping rapidly on the console. "Energy readings are off the charts, Commander. Whatever's in there, it's alive." Thrask's jaw tightened. "Prepare a landing team. I want this over with. We need to destroy whatever is powering that protocol before it can reactivate." The bridge hummed with tense energy as the crew hurried to make preparations. Thrask, Lerna, Dr. Valen, and a small group of heavily armed Marines made their way to the ship's transport bay. The landing craft was prepped, its engines a low growl, ready to descend into the unknown. As they boarded the craft, Lerna shot a glance at Thrask. "You're sure about this? That structure? It's ancient. Whatever we're walking into, it could be beyond anything we're capable of handling." Thrask met her gaze with steely resolve. "We don't have a choice. If we don't stop this now, the galaxy will be subjected to the same fate. The awakening protocol isn't just targeting us, it's targeting everything." Lerna nodded, though her scaled brow furrowed with worry. "Then let's end it." The landing craft descended into the structure, slipping through a yawning chasm at its surface. Inside, the environment was eerily quiet, the air thick with the weight of untold millennia. Massive, towering walls of shifting metal lined the interior, pulsing faintly with a strange energy that felt both ancient and alive. As they ventured deeper into the core, Dr. Valen held up his scanner, his face pale. "This place. It's a machine, but it's also organic. The structure is alive, Commander. It's reacting to us." "We're being watched," Lerna growled softly, her claws instinctively flexing. Thrask nodded. He could feel it, too, a presence vast and inscrutable, lurking just beyond the edge of perception. They reached a massive central chamber, dominated by an enormous crystalline structure that pulsed with the same eerie blue light they had seen when the Harbinger appeared. "That's the core," Valen whispered, "the heart of the awakening protocol." Thrask didn't hesitate. "We need to destroy it." As they approached, the crystal began to pulse faster, its light intensifying. A voice filled the chamber, deeper and more resonant than the Harbinger's. It was the voice of the structure itself. "You seek to end the ascension," it intoned, its voice echoing through the minds of the team. "But you do not understand. The ascension is not destruction, it is the future. To resist is to doom your species and all others." "We're not here to negotiate," Thrask replied coldly, signaling the Marines to ready their charges. "We decide our own future." The Harbinger's glowing eyes dimmed slightly, and for a moment the air seemed to grow colder. "Refusal is irrelevant. The Ascension Protocol cannot be undone. Your species is the key, and you will fulfill your purpose, whether you wish it or not." Thrask felt a surge of anger rising in his chest, but he kept it in check. "You expect us to surrender our humanity? To become something else?" The Harbinger remained silent for a long moment, its crystalline eyes studying Thrask intently. Then it spoke, its voice resonating with an almost mechanical certainty. "Humanity is but a stepping stone. You will not lose what you are. You will become more." The Harbinger's words hung heavily in the air, and the crew shifted nervously at their stations. Thrask could sense their unease, their fear of the unknown. He knew he had to act quickly before panic took hold. "Commander," Lerna whispered urgently, her reptilian eyes narrowed. "This ascension, it sounds like a trap. We can't let them do this to us." Thrask gave her a subtle nod. "Agreed. But we need more information before we act." He turned back to the Harbinger. "You claim we're uniquely suited for this. Why humans? Why now?" The Harbinger's eyes flickered with cold light as it regarded Thrask. "Humanity has demonstrated a resilience unmatched by other species. Your ability to adapt, to survive against overwhelming odds, makes you the perfect candidate for ascension. Throughout your history, you have endured suffering, wars and disasters, yet you have always risen stronger. Your species' biology, combined with your indomitable will, makes you the key to unlocking the next stage of evolution. Thrask clenched his jaw. He didn't like where this was going. What happens to the rest of the galaxy if we ascend? What happens to other species? The Harbinger's metallic voice hummed with certainty. Those who are not chosen will remain as they are. They will continue to exist, bound by their limitations. But those who ascend will lead the way to a new era, where the ascended reign supreme. You will be the vanguard of a new order. Thrask's mind raced. He couldn't allow this to happen, not without a fight. But how could they resist something so powerful, so ancient? "Commander," Dr. Valen interjected from the science station, his voice tense. "I've been analyzing the Harbinger's presence. It's not fully here. Its physical form is being projected from the structure. If we can sever that connection, we might be able to disrupt its control over the ship." Thrask's gaze flicked to the doctor, hope flickering in his eyes. "Can you do it?" Valen's fingers danced over the console as he continued his analysis. "It won't be easy. The technology they're using is far beyond anything we've encountered. But if I can isolate the energy source powering the projection, I might be able to cut it off." Thrask nodded. "Do it, and quickly." As Valen worked, the Harbinger's crystalline eyes glowed brighter. "I sense resistance, Commander. This is unwise." Thrask stood firm. "We didn't come all this way to be forced into something we don't understand." The Harbinger's form shifted slightly, its voice growing colder. "You will understand soon enough." Dr. Valen's hands flew over the controls, beads of sweat forming on his brow as he worked to isolate the energy signature. The ship shuddered, and the lights flickered, but he pressed on. "Almost there," he muttered under his breath. "Just a few more adjustments." The Harbinger's voice grew more insistent. "You cannot stop the awakening. It is inevitable." Thrask felt the tension mounting. Every second felt like an eternity. "Valen, we're running out of time." "I know!" Valen snapped, his frustration evident. "Got it!" There was a sudden surge of energy, and the Harbinger's form flickered, its shimmering body becoming unstable. The alien's voice faltered, and its glowing eyes dimmed. "What? Have you done?" The Harbinger hissed, its form collapsing in on itself. Thrask took a step forward, his expression hard. "We're not your puppets. If you want us, you'll have to take us by force." The Harbinger's body shimmered one last time before it disintegrated into a cascade of light, vanishing from the bridge. The crew let out a collective breath of relief, but the victory felt hollow. "Commander," Lerna said quietly, "it's not over, is it?" Thrask shook his head. "No, that was just the beginning." The crystal's light blazed, and suddenly the chamber trembled. From the walls, metallic tendrils shot out, aiming to snare the team. The Marines opened fire, the sound of energy weapons filling the air as they fought to keep the tendrils at bay. "Commander, the Corps' defenses are activating," Valen shouted, his voice barely audible over the chaos. "If we don't destroy it now, we'll be overwhelmed." Thrask gritted his teeth, dodging a sweeping tendril as he activated his comms. "Place the charges! We end this now!" Lerna darted forward, moving with the quick precision of her species, and began planting the explosives around the crystal's base. The light from the core grew more intense, and the structure's voice boomed louder in their minds. "You cannot stop what has already begun. The ascension will bring order to the chaos of the galaxy. Without it, your kind will fall into ruin." "We choose our own path," Thrask growled. "No machine decides our fate." The charges were set. Thrask and his team retreated to a safe distance as the crystal's light became blinding. Tendrils of energy lashed out from the walls, trying to stop them, but it was too late. "Now!" Thrask shouted. Lerna hit the detonator, and the charges went off in a deafening explosion. The shockwave reverberated through the chamber, and for a moment, everything was consumed by light and sound. The core's crystalline structure shattered, its brilliant blue light flickering before extinguishing entirely. The tendrils fell limp. The ground beneath their feet steadied, and the oppressive presence in their minds faded. "It's over," Valen whispered, disbelief and relief mixing in his voice. "We did it." Thrask stood in the center of the ruined chamber, his breath heavy. "The awakening protocol is dead." Back aboard the Fire Shadow, the crew gathered on the bridge as the structure, now inert, floated in the void before them. The once pulsing energy that had radiated from it was gone, and the monolith seemed almost lifeless. "We've confirmed it, Commander," Valen said, relief evident in his voice. "The core's destruction has completely deactivated the awakening protocol. The galaxy is safe, for now." Thrask nodded, his gaze fixed on the view beyond the ship. "We stopped them this time, but there will be others. This galaxy is full of ancient powers that we barely understand." Lurna crossed her arms, her scales glinting in the soft light of the bridge. "What matters is that we fought back, and won. That's all that counts." Thrask turned to face his crew, his expression resolute. "We've proven today that our fate is our own. Whatever comes next, we'll be ready." As the Fire Shadow turned away from the silent remains of the ancient structure, Thrask allowed himself a small smile. The galaxy was vast and dangerous, but humanity had shown that it could stand against the unknown and survive. For now, the future was theirs to shape.